Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I am Muthia Sandra Riphasa from 4E, and in this video, I'm gonna explain and present about types, characteristics, and advantages of using qualitative method. Okay, first thing first, we're gonna talk about qualitative method according to Jacob. Jacob said that there are 6 methods and Marshall book 1999 that are the first is about human ethology. Human ethology is actually a qualitative method that aims to study behavior human in this natural state. There is a belief the basis that human behavior is always evolving and dynamic. This is due to the place and environment where humans are changing and growing. And then the purpose of this method is to understand humans in a cultural context and how this behavior plays a role in other cultural contexts. Where do the similarities and where is the differences? And then the second is about holistic ethnography. What is holistic ethnography? So holistic ethnography aims to study culture in full. The assumption is that culture is related to many other factors such as economic, political, social, historical, and technology. So, culture is not separated from context and the situation of the time. Next, we move to cognitive anthropology. Cognitive anthropology emphasizes that culture emerges of human knowledge. Humans decide what to do in order to survive. This matter occurs thanks to the interaction of humans with nature and human others. The fourth is about ethnography of communication. Ethnography of communication assumes that basically humans find themselves different from others. Difference characterized by difference in status, age, education, experiences, ethnic, background, gender, environment, religion, and role in society. All the effects caused in the use of this language is studied within the framework of ethnography communication. Symbolic interactions. Symbolic interactions began his assertion that social interaction, is actually symbolic interaction. So, the essence of this method is to reveal how do humans use symbols that represent what they convey in communication with other people. The last is about environmental psychology. So environmental psychology is a method used to study the relationship between human behavior and the environment he specific. It is realized that humans play a role in changing environment. On the other hand, it is also believed that the environment influence and change people. Behavior aided human way of thinking is very dependent on the environment where he is. The purpose of this method is to understand human behavior that is really influenced by the environment. After we talk about Jacob's perspective, now we're going to talk about Creswell. So there are 5 methods in qualitative method by Creswell in 1996 that are biography, phenomenology, ethnography, grounded theory, and case study. First, we're going to talk about biography. Okay, usually this biography is compiled based on the story of experience, the person or person themselves, or based on written documents and other archives stored. Researchers often collect information from sources others or through interviews or documentary photographs. Generally, the data obtained comes from people's stories obtained maybe through formal conversation such as interview or information. And then the next about phenomenology. The purpose of this method is to capture meaning of human life experience about a symptom. Method phenomenology wants to know more about the structured consciousness in human experience, right? So according to Edmund Husserl, our understanding of something happens because there is awareness of these symptoms. The next is about ethnography. So the basic assumption of this method is that humans who live together is always relationship with humans other, of course. And then the interactions that occur between them every day in a long period of time will eventually form a culture. So culture is a collection of patterns, the behavior of groups of people living together in a certain area. Next, we're gonna move to the next method. In this method, grounded theory is a qualitative method that aim at discovering a new theory. The basis of this method are the social science and methodologies. And then the next is about grounded theory. So this method also presents an overview or interpretation of a culture, social group, or a system. With this method, the researcher wants to explore the pattern of observed behavior, habits, and way of life. And the last method is about case study. So Creswell defines a case study as an exploration of bounded system or case, an interesting case to study because of distinctive features of the case that have meaning in other people, minimum for researchers. Okay, we move to the next topic. We're gonna talk about the similarity qualitative methods. So the first is about experience. Of course, experience. This is about human actions, right? And then holistic. So this method is to see the symptoms, like I said before, and then about fact and reality. And then the next is about meaning. If we talk about meaning, it's of course to know the meaning in depth and a sense of symptoms, fact, and reality. The next is about direct. So in direct, we can know that symptoms, fact, and reality, we have to experience it directly. So it means direct. And then the next is about subjective. So if we talk about subjective, it can't be coupled with an object gauges. And the last is about credibility of researchers. Of course, everyone must have credible, like skilled, competent, and firm in their self. So this is what is the meaning of credibility of researchers. After that, we're going to talk about the characteristic of qualitative method. I'm sorry because that's typo. It's actually qualitative. So the first is about naturalistic setting. So researchers directly involved. The research was good at plugging data by observation, so it is data analysis and interpretation. And then the third is about flexible. So flexible means like open to the possible adjustment to the ever-changing circumstance, and allow to deepening understanding. And then the next is direct experience. We have to directly experience that. So inside of the researcher will open. And then the next is in depth. There is no act that has no purpose and no purpose. Actions that appear to be the same can be interpreted differently by different people, right? The next is about first time. This method is about to learn how people understand a thing or things, right? The next is about wholeness, like the whole thing. The context must be viewed truly, not part by part, not partial, or not partial, I mean. And then the next is about interpretation. So in this interpretation, we must understand the internal dynamics of how a program and then an organization or relationship happens. And we're gonna move to the next theory again. The advantages of qualitative methods. There are 4 advantages that we have to know of this method. The first is about the data is of course and always based on fact, phenomenon, and reality. And the second is the topic is in depth and focus. Okay. The third is they open to more than one perspective. They not only use one perspective, they can see the other's perspective. And then the fourth, which is the last, is about realistic. Like I said in the first advantage, yeah, it's realistic. So they believe in dynamic and the process of this life, of the experience. So that is the advantages that we have to know, that we must know when we're gonna do a research or something. So that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry for my mistake in this video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.